I now invite Mr. Pitts to address the graduates.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. President, whichever way you went for this prestigious honor. My mom always wanted a doctor. And, you know, she's no longer with us, but I'm proud to say, hey, Mom, look, you know, I finally did that for you. My congratulations, first of all, to the class of 2018. And applaud yourself, sure. And to all the moms and dads and brothers and sisters and cousins and aunts and uncles and like a mom and like a dad and grandma and grandpa, without whom there would be no class of 2018. The best advice I was ever given in terms of public speaking went as follows: the mind cannot absorb what the behind cannot endure. So, with that in mind, I will keep it short. Besides that, I am painfully aware that I am not what you came here for. To the contrary, I am just one more obstacle standing between you and out of here. There are a few things more humbling than being a graduation commencement speaker for that reason. I have to tell you, I graduated in 1977, and I can't remember who my commencement speaker was, much less what he or she said. Again, it was 1977, so it may have been Henry Kissinger or Gerald Ford. On the other hand, it may have been Donna Summer or Fonzie from Happy Days. So anyway, this is the part of the program where I am supposed to spend a few moments offering you sage advice about how to handle that daunting project called the rest of your life. I am supposed to tell you to aspire and persevere, to be bold and creative, to understand that failure is not fatal and that the dictionary is the only place where success comes before work. I am supposed to remind you that reputation is about what people think you are, but character is about who you really are. And I am supposed to remind you that money is not the finest measure of your worth and contributions as a human being. All of that is true. But the best advice that I can give you as you launch into the rest of your life comes not from me, the newly minted honorary doctor, but rather from an African-American woman who grew up in Mississippi during the Great Depression and managed just 7 years of formal schooling before going to work as a white lady's maid. She was my mom, and she gave me thousands of words of wisdom and guidance, 9 of which I want to pass on to you. You ready? Mom said, and I quote, "Son, use your head for more than a hat rack." My mama always did have a way with words. Use your head for more than a hat rack. In other words, think. Now that advice may seem simple and self-evident to you. I submit that in this fractured time, in our fractured nation, there is no advice that I or anyone can give you that is more critical, important, or useful. That is because you and I have the great challenge of living in an era where the truth has become multiple choice and facts are available in various flavors. Thank you, my sister. Indeed, you and I have heard an aide to the President of the United States speak with a straight face of alternative facts, and we have heard another aide say outright, and I quote, "There is no such thing as facts." We have seen lies dressed up as truth proliferating on social media. I'm hitting somebody's sweet spot. We have seen lies dressed up as truth proliferating on social media. We have read the reports about how the Russians used our racial, sexual, and cultural differences to mount a campaign of division and disinformation during the 2016 campaign. Some of us may have seen the Knight Foundation study indicating that 17% of Democrats and 42% of Republicans regard as fake news stories they know to be true if those stories cast certain politicians or groups in an unfavorable light. Maybe some of us have even read After the Fact, the new book by journalist Nathan Bomey, which warns that as bad as things are, they are about to get much worse, thanks to a new technology that will soon be available that will make it possible to create videos that not only show you doing things you never did, but saying in your own voice things you never actually said. So the problem here is that you cannot run a country, heck, you cannot run a corner store in an environment where people cannot even agree on what the facts are. I mean, if you and I have the same pool of facts in common, then you and I have the basis for a good faith argument and debate on the best solution to a given problem. We may disagree on which facts are most important. We may interpret those facts in different ways. But so long as we are working with the same facts, the facts that we can at least have a discussion about what's the best thing to do. If, however, you have your facts over here and I have my facts way over there, then we have no basis for discussion, much less a good faith argument, because in a very real sense, we are not even speaking the same language. It is like trying to understand quantum physics when your only language is Greek and your teacher speaks only Japanese. Good luck with that. And yet that's where we have come to in this country. On everything from vaccines to climate change to GMOs to the Parkland school shooting, many of us now make it up as they go along, holding an elaborate, building an elaborate maze of conspiracy theories and alternate realities where the truth is hidden and can never be found. And let's be honest here. Some of us, many of us, are not particularly interested in finding the truth. For them, it is more important to win the argument. They will make up or say or omit or pretend to believe whatever they need to achieve that goal, and they are utterly without shame in doing so. Could people who had any concept of shame have challenged a grieving father whose little boy was murdered at Sandy Hook Elementary to prove that his son existed? Such people don't seem to care that in embracing a factish and truthy ethos, they tear at the very fabric of our nationhood. As you may know, the internet conspiracy theorist Alex Jones felt that Hillary Clinton was simply, not simply an undesirable candidate, but an evil and malicious one. So he helped to spread a story about her leading a ring of child molesters out of the basement of a Washington pizzeria. Most of us dismissed that as the bizarre lie that it was, but a 28-year-old named Edgar Welch from Salisbury, North Carolina did not. In 2016, he drove up to Washington and shot up the pizzeria. Thank God nobody was hurt, but shot up the pizzeria with an AR-15, trying to rescue these children who did not exist. And that, I promise you, is only the tip of the edge of the rim of the iceberg for the danger that we face when facts become multiple choice. It is into this weird and not so brave new world that we now send you, the best and the brightest among us, clutching degrees that testify to your hard-won proficiency in engineering, architecture, business, biology, music, and media arts, among many other things. But for as much as I hope that you have learned those subjects, for as much as I hope that you leave here knowing how to design a building or run a business or play an aria, there is one thing I hope for you above all of that. I hope that when you leave here, you leave here knowing that you have learned how to think. Not what to think, but how to think. How to weigh conflicting information, how to reason and to analyze, how to question, how to judge whether the information you've received is valid or not, how to question your own assumptions, and when necessary, re-examine and change them. I hope you leave this place understanding something too many of us do not, namely that you do not think with your ideology. You do not think with your skin color or your religion. You do not think with your nationality or your biases. You do not think with your assumptions. You think with your brain. That computer behind your eyes that you have spent all these years programming. I hope you recognize the importance of questioning everything, including yourself. This is not easy. It requires confronting your own confirmation biases. Let me give you a personal example. A few years ago, the Washington Post came out with a study indicating that the vast majority of American Indians are in fact not offended by sports teams that carry Indian-themed nicknames down to and including the Redskins. As someone who has written a number of columns chastising those teams for what I saw and frankly still see as their objectionable names, I read that study with mounting skepticism. Finally, I just threw it aside. There had to be something wrong with it, I told myself. Maybe the methodology was bad or the questioning was misleading. And then I caught myself. Then I heard what I was doing because, you see, that's where confirmation bias begins. The facts contradict your premise, but instead of questioning your premise, you disregard the facts. Now, don't misunderstand me. I keep hoping that something is wrong with that study. I really hope something's wrong with that study. But until or unless the facts that it presented are superseded by new facts, I am required to deal with the reality that the thing I think should offend American Indians apparently does not offend them at all. But that's what intellectual honesty demands of me. It is what intellectual honesty demands of us all. The ability to rise above our own confirmation biases, to value the facts, and to change our minds when the facts demand it. That is what thinking people do. And again, I hope you leave here as thinking people. Because you see, this country desperately needs some thinking people. America in 2018 is a hotbed of seething ignorance and proud, angry stupidity. And that is frightening because guess what? Despite what the president's advisor said, it turns out there is still such a thing as fact. And fact does not much care whether you believe in it or not. You may, for example, disbelieve the fact of gravity to your heart's content. Step off that building up there into space, and gravity will quickly show you what's what. The facts are the facts regardless. We live in a nation that is walking toward that metaphorical edge with dumb determination. We deny the fact of climate change. We deny the fact of rampant gun violence. We deny the fact of racially biased policing. We deny our international alliances. We even deny the fact that facts matter. So class of 2018, I celebrate your excellence, not simply for what it says about your hard work and perseverance, but for what it confirms about the importance of knowing, what it affirms about the primacy of facts. Right now, all over the country, people like you are listening to speeches and getting ready to go out and change the world. Today, you join them. As you do, I charge you to validate the investment of time, money, and education that have gone into bringing you to this moment. I charge you to recognize that we are each bound to one another, that each of us owes a debt of service to the rest of us. And I charge you, as my mom once charged me, use your head for more than a hat rack. Offer your skills to the world, but more importantly, offer yourself to the world as an example of what it means to be a thoughtful, thinking, and thus truly human being. Remember that the goal is not to win the argument. The goal is to find the truth and then have the courage to live by it. I thank you very much for your time and attention, and again, congratulations to the class of 2018. Thank you very much. Thank you.